There's been more and more rumors and wild guesses going around about episode 6 lately, and some of them are straight up claiming we'll have to wait forever for the new episode. But today, I'm not only going to tell you when we're actually going to see episode 6 and what's going to happen in it that nobody's expecting, but also clear up a few myths that are starting to blow up right now. First off, there's a theory gaining traction that we'll have to wait at least another 4 months for episode 6, and everyone's blaming the Gaslight District for it. Because if you remember, that's exactly why the wait for episode 5 was so long. Recently, the creator of Gaslight District confirmed that episode 2 is coming, and after that, a lot of fans started assuming that all the focus will shift back to that show, meaning we'll be stuck waiting ages for the next Digital Circus episode. But let's break it down. Episode 6 is very likely already in production, unlike what happened after episode 4, when basically nothing was ready for episode 5. Also, if you look at Murder Drones, it's clear that the time gap between a pilot and its second episode doesn't have to be short. Sure, Digital Circus took only 6 months between its pilot and episode 2, but Murder Drones took a full year. And honestly, comparing the popularity of the amazing Digital Circus and Gaslight District just doesn't make sense. So based on that alone, I can confidently tell you that even if Gaslight District continues, it's not going to delay episode 6. So yeah, no need to freak out or spread those "we'll have to wait half a year again" theories. Like I said earlier, it's very likely that episodes 5 and 6 were developed at the same time. Even though there's no official confirmation, a lot of things point to it as fact. Sure, the long wait we had was mostly cause of the Gaslight District pilot release, but still, 6 months is a lot. It honestly felt like episode 5's release was intentionally pushed back a bit, just so Gooseworx and the team had enough time to not only finish episode 5, but also work on episode 6 at the same time. That theory also lines up with the whole structure of these episodes. Episodes 5 and 6 are basically two halves of one massive episode, because their plot lines are clearly connected. So based on all that, it's pretty safe to say we're not going to wait more than 3 or 3.5 months for episode 6. Most likely, we'll see it drop sometime near the end of summer or in mid-September. So realistically, the release window we're looking at is between August 29th and September 26th, and that's when we'll finally get our hands on the long-awaited episode 6. But it's important to remember that all of this is just theory. Right now, nobody can say anything for sure. The only thing we do know 100% is that episode 6 definitely won't release before August 29th. Even if episodes 5 and 6 were worked on at the same time, the team still needs time for post-production, final polishing, localization into other languages, and prepping everything for the official release. That's exactly why the release window between August 29th and September 26th feels like the most realistic and solid estimate. There's no point in making wild guesses based on indirect hints or things said by the creators of completely different shows. But what's really insane is this post that was later deleted by the author. But Goose still replied with, "I can't say it because it would cause problems," and that instantly sparked tons of questions about what the post was really about. Judging by the replies from some users, most fans of the Digital Circus agreed that it was likely referring to one of the characters turning into an abstracted monster. And if we remember that video from Glitch where Kaufmo appeared, then based on the context, we can safely assume that this clown might very well show up in the new episode, maybe just as a memory, or maybe not just a memory. What if this is the creator's way of hinting that Kaufmo might actually return in episode 6, and like I already explained to you, the maximum number of Digital Circus residents at the same time is 6 characters. So if Kaufmo does come back, then someone else would have to leave the tent. And if we go back to our very first encounter with Kaufmo,
I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes.
It's almost like the creators were already hinting at who might be the next to become an abstracted monster. And in one of my earlier videos, I explained why I'm almost 100% sure Regatha is dangerously close to ending up in the cellar. The key thing we need to understand here is that someone clearly has to leave the Digital Circus, and someone else will take their place. And if that someone isn't Kaufmo, then why not let it be that secret best friend of Jack's, the one who used to bring out the wildest side of our purple rabbit? I figured that out by looking closely at that concept art Gooseworx shared, where she revealed Ribbit's full design and a whole range of his expressions. And man, they look so much like Jax's in different episodes. But what if everything's not what it seems? What if Ribbit is actually still alive? What if his consciousness was transferred into another body? I already told you all about that mannequin that's been showing up in different episodes, and for a long time everyone just thought it was a little nod to Dr. Football from the pilot. But then came the very first teaser for episode 5, and boom, there it was again. That weird mannequin just standing there, totally out of place in the usual chaos of the digital circus. Still, at the time people brushed it off as another Dr. Football reference, or just a random background NPC like we've seen plenty of times before, especially since in later teasers he was nowhere to be found. So, yeah, everyone pretty much forgot about him. But right after episode 5 dropped, from the very first scenes it was crystal clear the mannequin suddenly matters, and that final scene, it basically confirmed all our suspicions. At this point, I'm straight up convinced that not only will we see more of that mannequin in the next episode, but we'll finally learn what he's really hiding. And here's the kicker. Wasn't it kinda weird how Goose just casually dropped a full concept art of this character? Sure, some might argue it's like what happened after episode 3, where we saw full art of that angel NPC, and no, that didn't mean he'd become a core part of the story. But there's a huge difference. That angel, already established NPC. With Ribbit, we didn't know Jack, just his face. Then suddenly Goose drops a full body design plus a complete emotion sheet? Come on, that ain't random. And if we keep that in mind and remember how Jax's entire storyline in episode 5 basically kicked off after Ribbit was brought up, and add the fact that episode 6 is supposedly Jax focused, then yeah, I really do think Ribbit might be that mannequin. It's important to understand that Caine is literally all-powerful inside the digital circus. There are no real limits to what he can do within that world. He can manipulate the environment, the characters, even their thoughts, and most importantly, he has total control over the system itself, meaning he absolutely can bring someone back from being abstracted. After all, the characters in TADC are just digitized versions of real people's consciousness, trapped in some massive, ultra-advanced virtual system. And who holds all the admin rights? Right, Caine. We've already seen this in action. In the pilot, he fully healed Regatha after she got wrecked. In episodes 4 and 5, he literally hijacked her mind for laughs, and even messed with Jax's brain to make him go vegan. So if he can do that, then bringing Ribbit back from abstraction? Totally possible. And this is where it gets wild. What if Ribbit's consciousness never left? What if Caine didn't delete it, but instead stored it, moved it into that weird mannequin we keep seeing? If we accept that theory, then episode 6 won't just be the Jax episode. It'll be the Ribbit comeback episode. We might finally hear his voice, see him move again. Maybe he's still trapped in that mannequin body, or maybe Caine decides to give him back his original form. Either way, I'm convinced Ribbit is still alive, and we're gonna see him in episode 6. And what's really important to understand here is that, like I said before, episode 6 is mostly about Jax, and that matters a lot when it comes to Ribbit possibly showing up. If you remember how Jax reacts to even hearing his name, it's already clear they were truly close, and the fact that Jax became so withdrawn from everyone else only proves it. Ribbit was probably the only one Jax could be real and honest with. And now that we're finally learning more about the rabbit himself, it makes total sense that Ribbit's story would be revealed alongside his, since those two are clearly tied together by a deep emotional bond.